Welcome to another great edition of Scaling with Insights, where we bring in top industry leaders to share their insights of what's working well to scale their businesses. My name is John Russo. I'm a former CMO turned entrepreneur. Now I'm helping other businesses scale, grow, and measure their business for effectiveness. Welcome to another great edition. We are in for a treat today. We have Scott Brinker, the ChiefMartec, as you may know him, the editor of ChiefMartec, and now VP of Platform for HubSpot. He is the grand poobah of martech, and I'm super excited to have him come on the show. Before I bring him on, I just want to remind you and thank the Growth Ops community as a sponsor of our show. I'll drop some information in the link below about the Growth Ops community where you can learn more about what we're doing in terms of building a community for the Growth Ops side of the house. And with that, let me bring on Scott.
Hey, John.
Welcome,
it's
Scott.
Great to be here with you.
Great to see you. It's crazy times right now. During this recording, it's a crazy month. So I appreciate you making the time.
Yeah, my pleasure. It keeps me away from refreshing the New York Times.
Absolutely. And maybe, I gave a brief intro to the audience. Maybe you could just give a little bit of background about yourself and what you've been working on recently.
Sure. Yeah. So I've been in the martech space for ages. Started that blog, ChiefMartec.com, about 12 years ago, program chair of the Martech conference. I ran a martech company for a number of years, Ion Interactive, which created a SaaS platform for interactive content. And then after that company was acquired, I joined HubSpot as their VP platform ecosystem to help HubSpot be able to integrate better with all the really amazing innovative tools that are out there, martech, sales tech, and quite frankly, the broader business stack.
That's awesome. We're certainly seeing HubSpot a lot more in the mid-market in particular. I don't know. It sounds like you guys are making a concerted effort, or perhaps companies are a little bit more budget conscious too, and they're looking at your tool given all the capabilities. But I'm curious, in this environment right now, here we're tailing toward the end of the year. It's a tough time for some companies. And one of the things that we're experiencing is a lot of clients are trying to get the most bang for the buck out of their investments on the martech side. But what kind of trends are you seeing in terms of consolidation or rationalization of the stacks overall?
Yeah, well, I guess there's a couple ways to look at this. So there's inside companies, companies have become a lot more disciplined about really evaluating the different tools that, they have in their stack. And quite frankly, cleaning out any sort of cruft that they're not getting value from. Now this doesn't mean that everyone's consolidating down to just one or two tools. It's still, these tend to be very rich stacks, particularly as you get to larger businesses. But again, people are just becoming much more disciplined about saying, listen, every tool that we're going to have in our stack, it has to justify its existence, and it has to integrate and work with the rest of our stack. And so I really think this is moving to a new level of maturity of how we think about martech capabilities. Now, in the broader market, the question of consolidation is always 8,000 martech solutions. My goodness, man, when is it going to come down to 8? Not anytime soon. I mean, the thing that's interesting is, while there's definitely consolidation happening, particularly with larger companies in the space, and if you were to look at this as a long tail, you would see the head of that tail. I mean, it's all the companies, it's Salesforce and Adobe and HubSpot and Or. I mean, there's a really finite number of folks, who have that scale. What's interesting is as you go down to the long tail of these more like specialist martech apps, the difference is many of them are no longer being built as just complete standalone point solutions. They're increasingly being built from out of the gate to integrate with one of those major platforms, so that again, marketers, they can adopt new capabilities when they need them, but that they don't have to become technicians of how do I put wire A, connected over here to contact B and hope it doesn't blow up. I mean, the martech platforms and the martech app creators, we should be doing the work behind the scenes to make the integrations work. Marketers should just be focused on how do we harness this stuff to deliver business value.
Amen. I think you and I were just quoted in some article that Dom wrote from CMS Newswire on the whole integration, the challenges of integration. and why it brings business value or reporting value too, because you can have one system and one source of truth versus all these different islands of information or reporting. But I think you said it really well. It's if you guys can simplify that, be it HubSpot or the martech industry as a whole, holy cow, does that solve a big headache of integration?
Well, that's the mission that gets me up in the morning every day. So making progress.
How about shifting to the future? We're in this kind of COVID world right now where a lot of us obviously are working at home, and it seems like an opportunity to challenge the status quo a little bit and maybe do things differently. Even though they're doing the consolidation, do you see any other opportunities given this environment that martech could kind of slot into that didn't maybe exist before?
Yeah, well, one of the trends I've been paying a lot of attention to has been this rise of what they call the no-code tools. The broad label that encompasses a lot of different things, honestly. It's not just about, building apps, but it's really about giving general business users, marketers, the ability to create things that, frankly, for some of these low-end, mid-end use cases, it didn't make sense for them to try and hire an expert or wait for someone in their centralized tech team to come around and implement it because, it wasn't worth it. We see tons of examples for oh, well, I just need a landing page for this, or I want a little workflow to do this, or I want to manage this, sign up, when someone is, participating in a webinar and then what happens next. More and more we want to give frontline marketers the ability to just do those things. And the great stuff about the no-code tools stuff is the really best ones, they're finding that right balance of empowering people at the edge of the organization to just self-service a lot of their needs. But at the same time, these are centralized tools in the sense that the marketing operations team, the marketing tech management team, can provide the governance and the guardrails. And it's almost like that best combination of centralization and decentralization. And I'm just super excited by how that's emerging. There's a bit of it out there, today in most people's stacks. I think you look over the next few years, that's only going to grow.
I could certainly see an opportunity there for manufacturing clients or clients that have old school business processes that you could maybe enable with apps that are low code or no code. What a relief that would be to marketers overall to not have to do anything technical, quite frankly. Our work is hard enough. And so, yeah, if you can simplify that, that's major good news.
Yeah, I think it's one of the things we've all learned from 2020 is, for years we were talking about, the need to adapt quickly and, move with change. 2020 is, for all of the challenges and difficulties it's had, boy, it has really taught us that, when you need to, you can adapt, and you can adapt much faster than you probably thought so. Now, hopefully this pace of change will settle down. It's been a little bit over the top.
It has been crazy.
But I think it definitely has reset our expectations of, how we can adapt as businesses in a world that is, quite frankly, changing rapidly around us.
No, absolutely. Maybe just wrapping up here, and I ask all my guests this question about what do you like to do outside of marketing? And I think in your intake form, you mentioned martech. But in conversations, I think we have something in common where we both have children, and it sounds like your child is involved in martech as well, which is phenomenal.
I was pulling your leg a bit there. I just want you to picture me trying to teach a preteen girl, okay, so here's how you set up your marketing automation campaigns. Yeah, it's no, I think we're going to go more in the direction of anime and things like that. So when anime comes to martech, then finally the Venn diagram will intersect perfectly.
One of my twin daughters is very much into anime as well, so I can relate to the creativity, very very creative aspect. And my hair was jet black before my teen girl, so I can see why you're so passionate about martech. But I love my kids. Well, Scott, hey, I really appreciate you making the time. Is there anything else that you want to wrap up here with today?
Just wishing everyone the best in getting through 2020 and looking ahead to 2021. We've got a big mission ahead of us in marketing. I think we're going to do a great job tackling it.
Excellent. And when's your next conference coming up? I know I went to your last one that was online, and I did go through your keynote where you talked a lot about this low code alternative. But when's the next one coming up, out of curiosity?
We are going to have something big in the spring. We haven't announced the date yet, but
okay.
Stay tuned.
Well, stay tuned. Excellent. Well, hey, Scott, I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, John. Have a great